Auntie's locked door. When my parents left for a work trip overseas, they sent me to stay with my Aunt Margaret. Her house sat alone on a quiet rural road, its roof leaning slightly to one side like it had been tired for years. She was welcoming enough, tea already brewed, dinner steaming on the table. But the first thing she told me was oddly specific. "You can go anywhere you want, love, but you must never open the door at the end of the upstairs hallway." The way she said it made my skin crawl. That night, I lay in bed listening to the unfamiliar groans of the old house. Somewhere above me, faint scratching sounds echoed through the stillness, not frantic but steady, like fingernails slowly dragging along wood. By the third night, the scratching turned into something worse, whispering. At first, I thought it was Aunt Margaret talking in her sleep, but when I pressed my ear to the thin wall, the sound was coming from the far end of the hall, from behind the door. It was saying my name. "Lisa, please, it's dark in here." The next morning, I casually asked Aunt Margaret what was in that room. She didn't look up from her tea. "Nothing for you. Don't linger by it." The following night, I dreamed of a figure standing just beyond the door. Its head was tilted at an unnatural angle, eyes glinting in the dark. I woke with my heart racing, but the scratching was real, carrying on even after I was fully awake. On the seventh night, the sound stopped completely. I thought maybe it was over, until I heard click. The hallway light was dim, but I saw it, the door, wide open. From inside came the smell of damp earth and something sweet, rotting. It wasn't a room, it was a narrow staircase leading down into blackness. The walls dripped moisture, and each step groaned like it might break under my weight. I had gone maybe 10 steps when I heard breathing. Slow, heavy, wet. Then, right next to my ear, a whisper, "Thank you for letting me out." The light upstairs flickered and went out. No one found Aunt Margaret's house the next day. The place simply wasn't there anymore, not on the road, not on the maps. But sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I hear that slow, wet breathing and a door creaking open behind me. Part 2. When the light went out, the darkness wasn't empty. It moved. I froze on the staircase, my hand gripping the cold, slick wall. Something was breathing inches from my face, hot and damp. My mind screamed to run, but my body wouldn't obey. Then, a hand, cold and clammy, brushed my cheek. It didn't feel like skin. It felt thin, like the surface of something that had been soaking in water for far too long. "You smell just like her," the whisper said. I staggered backwards up the stairs, but each step I took, the breathing followed. I didn't see it. I felt it, like a weight pressing against me. At the top, the hallway stretched much longer than it should have, the far end swallowed in shadow. I turned to run toward my room, but every door I passed was wrong. They were unfamiliar, old, rotting, and behind some of them I heard things moving. Aunt Margaret stepped out of one of the doors ahead, her face pale and furious. "I told you not to open it," she hissed, grabbing my arm. I wanted to explain, but she pulled me into another room and slammed the door shut. Inside was a dim space lit by a single oil lamp, its walls covered in scratched symbols. In the center sat a black wooden chest chained shut. "That thing you heard," Aunt Margaret whispered, her voice trembling. "It's not human. It's been here longer than the house itself." The door was the last seal keeping it in. She shoved something into my hands, a small silver key, warm to the touch. "If it follows you, use this, but don't use it too late, or it will lock you in instead." Before I could ask what she meant, the lamp flickered out. From the darkness came the sound of slow, wet breathing, but this time it was behind Aunt Margaret. The next moment was chaos. Her scream, the sound of something dragging across the floor, and the door slamming shut behind me. Part 3. Final. The first thing I noticed when I woke was the silence. Not peaceful silence, the kind that feels forced, like the air itself is holding its breath. I got up slowly, my fingers brushing against the key in my pocket. The metal felt warmer than before, almost pulsing faintly. The hallway was dim. The door at the far end stood there, exactly as I remembered. Black wood, iron handle, a keyhole like an unblinking eye. I should have run, but something in me, maybe curiosity, maybe something planted by it, pulled me closer. As I approached, the whispering began again. My name, over and over. Lisa, Lisa, please, I'm so cold. The key grew hotter. The smell of damp earth and rot leaked from the gap beneath the door. I remembered Aunt Margaret's words, "Don't use it too late, or it will lock you in instead." I slid the key into the lock. The door shuddered under my hand, as if something on the other side was leaning against it. I hesitated, then turned the key, not to open but to seal. The whispering stopped. For a moment I thought it had worked. Then came the pounding, violent. Each hit shook the door in its frame, dust falling from the ceiling. A voice screamed, not a whisper anymore, but deep, guttural, inhuman. "You let me out once, you'll do it again." I pressed my palm hard against the wood, the key still in the lock. The symbols from Aunt Margaret's hidden room burned themselves into my mind. Without knowing how, I started whispering them aloud. The pounding slowed, then stopped. When I opened my eyes, the hallway was gone. I was standing outside in the morning sunlight, Aunt Margaret's house nothing but an empty patch of grass. The key was still in my hand, cold now and lifeless. I walked away, thinking it was over. But last night, as I tried to sleep in my own home, I heard faint scratching at my bedroom door, and in the darkness, something whispered my name.